Let's explore the difficult world of redstone and sticky pistons. I'm going to talk about redstone switches, inverters, and an auto door. Let's blast off and get to it. First thing we need to do is create a Superflat world so we can test things. Now the default has dirt and bedrock. I want to have a whole load of stone so I can play with it. Head on over to the Minecraft Superflat preset generator and make one. Put loads of stone in it and you can dig all the way down. Copy the code, paste it in, and remove the number 3 in the beginning. Now we can generate our world of stone. Or you can be an idiot like me and make 200 levels of TNT and watch it explode. Nice. So once that's generated, let's get to making stuff. A sticky piston can push another sticky piston, but it's not stuck to it. This is hard-coded, you need delays to get this working. Or maybe a mod. Now let's look at inverting the redstone signal. The redstone path on the left is lit, but it's not lit near the switch. If we flick the switch, it inverts. Notice the position of the redstone torch, that will be helpful later. In this example, we're using some levels to invert. When I flick the switch, the light goes on. When I flick it again, the light goes off. Path inverted. Let me sprint over and have a look at some of these pistons. The first one is very simple. It's a sticky piston and a golden block next to a lever. We need to invert this if we want the block out or on. I press the switch, the block moves. I turn it off, the block goes back. It's sticky, so the block is always stuck to this. If I add a redstone path and connect it to the sticky block, it should work the same way. But notice it doesn't. That's because the redstone path is not touching the sticky piston. In this example, it is, so it works. We've got some distance. Now let's add an inverter and change it to a pressure plate. The redstone torch and line is on. Therefore, the sticky piston is on. The block is pushed forward. If I step on the pressure plate, the signal is inverted. It pulls the block back. This will help later when we're understanding auto doors. In this next example, the redstone torch is placed and the sticky piston is on. Great. If I step on the pressure plate, nothing happens. Why? The redstone torch is not connected to the block and it will not invert. Even if I add extra redstone, it still does not work because it's not connected to the block. This matters. I like white pressure plates, so I'm going to use this one because it's white. But it's a heavy weighted pressure plate, so it only generates a baby signal. When I tread on it, it almost looks like nothing is happening, but it is, just a little bit. It's not powerful enough to power the piston, so in order to get that to work, you need to have a redstone repeater. This increases the signal strength, up to 15 blocks. That means the weighted pressure plate works. Now I'm going to play around with the redstone repeaters a little bit. See if I can make the block move a little bit later. If you mess with the levers on the redstone repeaters, you can add a slight delay. If you have more redstone repeaters, you can have a big delay. This could play quite nicely if you wanted to have a delayed door. In this example, everything is set up correctly. I have the weighted pressure plate, the redstone repeater, and the inverted signal. The door should open. I stand on the pressure plate and nothing happens. This is because the redstone repeater is in the wrong direction. This also matters. It's crazy. Here is a working prototype of the pressure plate door. I've left an extra bit of redstone at the top, you can ignore that. It's underground, I'm trying to hide it. If I stand on the pressure plate, the signal inverts and the door opens. In this example, more of it is hidden underground. It's still not perfect, but we're getting to that. This is the final auto door prototype. This is exactly how you should make them in the game. There are 2 pressure plates on either side of the door, the signal is inverted, and the pistons are on. Underground is where the magic happens. If I stand on any of the pressure plates, the signal underground is changed, it's switched, it's inverted. This is the foundation that we need to know to make an auto door. It works great, but there is one big giant problem that I am bothered about. Zombies or monsters. If they tread on the pressure plates, they're just going to walk straight through the door. Zero safety. If you want to, change it to a lever. You can play around with that yourself. That's your homework. Here is the final working auto door with everything hidden. no mess. So let's go try it out in the woods. There are only 5 things we need to make one of these auto doors. Redstone dust, a redstone torch, pressure plates, not weighted if you want it to work properly, a sticky piston, and some blocks. You could use wood, it's not fire safe though, or stone, or sandstone, or diamond if you've got the money. I'm going to use cobblestone because it's very easy to find. Let's cut the grass and start building. You need 2 pressure plates on one side and 2 pressure plates on the other. As you place the sticky pistons, remember that they're switched off, so you need space for the blocks to move in. Put some redstone on top of the block and below. This will activate both pistons when we start the mechanism. Let's go underground. Now we need to leave a block of 6 raised so we can't walk on it. This is so the redstone signal can reach the surface. Or, if you want to, the pressure plates can activate the signal below. Remember, there's 4 pressure plates and a gap in the middle, so we need 6. Once that's completed, either side of the block needs 2 bits of redstone dust. Next, we need to connect this signal with 2 inverters. 1 on either side for both of the slime pistons to work together. Otherwise, only half of it will open. Put 2 more bits of redstone dust on the floor, so that's 3 in total from the middle, and then a redstone torch on a block. You should hear a swish sound. That means the piston has now activated, closing the gap in the middle. We've made the door. Remember, all the redstone we've put down is switched off. That's because there's no signal yet. It's switched off. The redstone torches over there are not touching this. We've made an inverter. Now let's make a monster-proof auto door. Like I said earlier on though, the big problem is the zombies pressing the pressure plates. In survival mode, that's a no-go. So let's have a look at a couple of prototypes I made with a lever and some buttons. This one works with a lever. When I switch the lever, it turns the redstone signal off, opening the door. When I flick the switch again from the inside, it turns it on, closing the door. It's very easy to set up, we're going to make one in a minute. The big problem is, you always need to remember to flick the switch. I don't want to keep remembering flicking the switch, I've got other things to do. So I made one with a button. You press the button, the signal is switched off, and the door opens. Interestingly, a button is always off. You press it to activate it for a short time. If you put a redstone torch on the other side of the button, exactly where the button is but the other side, the path will always be on until you press the button and then it switches off. That's an inverted button. This example works great to get in, but there's no button to get out. Maybe good for a tunnel. I decided to try it with 2 buttons. I press the button, nothing happens. The signal is still lit, because both redstone torches are on. That's not good, that means the signal's always activated. So what we need to have in order to have 2 buttons on the outside is an inverter at the top. Both signals must go to this inverter. If you have one signal going to it, like in the previous example, it won't work because the circuit is still on. Sounds complex, I know, I'm sorry, but let's build one together, shall we? First thing we need to do is lay a foundation. Then put 6 sticky pistons like this, 4 along the side past the gap, and then 2 facing forward. The same on the other side. Remember, these pistons are off right now, but we'll turn that on in a minute. Then put 2 blocks in the remaining space. I chose gold blocks because I want to show you. The idea is the pistons on the outside will push towards the middle, and the pistons facing forward will push towards the wall, hiding the room. Build yourself a nice simple roof and an archway. It doesn't have to be too tall in this example, but when you make it yourself, you can make it as tall as you like. The buttons must be placed 3 blocks away either side from the hole, and I'm going to build a little roof for the redstone signal, which I'll place in a minute. Once that's done, you have this, a little facade, a front wall. It looks cool. Now place a little stair on either side for the redstone signal to go up. Do this on both sides. This will connect the button on the other side of the wall. Put 4 pieces of redstone in the middle, the gaps where there's nothing else. And then you need 4 signal repeaters. They act as delays for the other pistons. Please remember to place these properly. It has to be in line with the signal, otherwise it won't work. Add 2 more pieces of redstone either side in order to connect the whole thing up. All of the pistons have access to the signal. Now what we need to do is connect both of these lines together, turn it on with a redstone torch and build an inverter. That's important because these 2 buttons must be independent and work on their own. Remember, an inverter is simply a torch on the other side of the block. Keep the signal separate. Now the door is switched on. It works. It's perfect. But the other button doesn't seem to work for some reason. That's because the signal from the button is not strong enough to reach the inverter. So simply put a redstone repeater and it works. Now we need to connect 2 buttons on the inside so we can open the door and get out. To do that, build a little staircase and put the signal on the other side where the button will go. And then you've got a perfectly functional auto door that zombies can't attack. Add another button on the other side if you want to. If you want to do a PvP version of this, you're going to have to think out the box. Maybe keep some redstone torches in your pocket. Then you can have a super secret base and less of the button mashing. So what have we learned? We've learned the basics of inverting a signal, troubleshooting connections and signals, pressure plate problems, delays, and how to build a fully functional auto door. We made 2 amazing designs. I prefer the one with the buttons though. I hope you've liked this video. Please subscribe, maybe leave a comment. I'm interested to hear about your redstone adventures. See you next time.